I can't sit here with a straight face and say that Vegas roster was the best roster in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They bought in. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I mean, are they the best in what terms? Like on a piece of paper when you're looking at it? I mean, when you look at it, I see their defense is very deep and solid. I see
Yeah.
a goaltender that is just playing lights out, and then I see leadership, I see grit, I see toughness, I see well-rounded. It's not all on the shoulders of one or two guys. Um, they're all huge. They're big bodied guys. You look down their size and you just see 6'4", 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 6'1". And it's just like these are big mobile guys that, they're blocking shots, they're hitting, they're banging. And like you say, it's all buy-in. And you get that's a testament. They are a better team than the teams you said. They're a better team than the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Toronto Maple Leafs hang their hats on three guys that need to win for you every single night, and they just don't, especially in the playoffs, because they don't seem to have, or at least are unable to show that grit that a Mark Stone has, where you're just willing to die for the team. They don't have that. They don't show that. There's not sweat beating off the end of their beards. They're just kind of like in the headlights, and they don't get it done. So that they aren't a better team. They're not a better team than the Vegas Golden Knights. The depth and the buy-in and the leadership, and that's just what it takes. They're a better hockey team because
Yeah.
you don't need flashy $13 million guys. You need defense, you need goaltending, you need grit, and you need leadership. And that's what they had in spades.
Yeah, pound for pound, I was intimating that the talent level, like there's better talent level on rosters around the
100%.
NHL, and 100%, I think you would agree with that. I completely agree as well. Like the buy-in was there, the chemistry. It takes a lot more than a couple players to build a cup-winning team. And I know some people are annoyed or pissed off that Vegas wins this quickly, but they did an impeccable job of putting this roster together. Because again, you look at this team a couple weeks back, you're like, there's no chance in hell they're winning a Stanley Cup with Adin Hill, and lo and behold, here they are. They got two number one defensemen. They got a number one C. They got a legendary captain in Mark Stone. Everything comes together. And they got key contributors when it mattered most. I mean, just look at the final game in Game 5. Mark Stone, Jack Eichel, Alec Martinez, Adin Hill, Jonathan Marchessault sort of comes out of nowhere, wins the Conn Smythe. These are the type of efforts you need in the springtime, right?
Yeah, for sure. You need that. I mean, with the Leafs, you're waiting for someone to do that. You're waiting. You're going,
Mm-hmm.
okay, can these, additions of O'Reilly's and these Acharis, and can these guys on the back end and this goaltender, and you want that story, and you're waiting for it. You want everyone to rise up and come together and just put together this monster of a team that just bulldozes whatever's in their way and runs all the way to the cup. That's what it takes. And they always seem to fall short, and they always seem to have a hiccup, and they always seem to get in a position where they need to dig out and they just don't.
Yeah.
And it's consistently that way, and they just haven't been able to find that formula. And if you win a Stanley Cup or a championship of any kind, you're going to get those things that fall into place. Those Adin Hills are going to rise up and say, I'm the man. You're going to get those guys that you just alluded to stand up and say, we're here, we're playing together, it's team first, and they're all playing out of their asses. And it's like that's what it takes every single time you see a guy or a team win the Stanley Cup. They have that formula that all comes together, and all the holes are filled. There's no gaps, and they just trench people. And that's what that team did this year. That's what we want the Toronto Maple Leafs to do, but they're just struggling to find that formula. And again, it is as difficult as ever to do in Toronto than it would be in Las Vegas to get that done, with every fucking little step you take and minute detail just dissected and torn apart and argued and debated. It just makes it so much harder. But at the end of the day, that's the market you're in. You got to try to find a way to get it done, and it comes down to the players and the leadership.
Yeah, naturally, that's the question for me is what can the Maple Leafs learn from Vegas' Stanley Cup run? And I think you hit the nail on the head with everything you just said right there, that it's got to be complete team buy-in, and there's got to be that depth, and your number 60's got to be as integral as your fourth line center, right? Like I think you look at this Vegas team, that was the amazing thing for me is like every player knew their role and they played it to a T. And even when a couple guys got injured early on in the Stanley Cup playoffs, like the Ben Huttons of the world came in and were locked down and did their thing and then came out of the lineup. Like even, the stories about Phil Kessel, like he hadn't played in a long, long period of time. Every day he showed up with a smile on his face, and that really pumps the energy into a group.